What are we talking about today? Some great watches that are non-Swiss made. Hi everyone, I'm drinking Victrola's Streamline Espresso. Cheers. So today's show is not about throwing shade or criticizing Swiss-made watches. Swiss watches are always going to be an important part of the industry. Instead, it's about bringing awareness to countries that are producing some outstanding watches that are worthy of our consideration and money. Rolex, Patek, Lange, Glashütte, Grand Seiko, Omega, what? What do I have to stop? Oh, okay, I guess this would be a pretty good stopping point. Half of those watches are not Swiss-made watches. Lange and Glashütte are German, and we know Grand Seiko is Japanese. The list of countries and watches within each country are many, so we probably have to split a show like this up into 2 or 3 different shows. So for this show, we're talking about 3 countries and 5 watches from within each country. So the first country outside of Switzerland that we're going to cover is Japan. Let's start with the Orient Marshal. This is a really nice looking watch. At 41.5 millimeters, it uses 21 jewels on the Orient movement. The second watch is the Seiko 5 Sports Automatic Field Watch. This comes in at 42 millimeters. It has a nice black and silver dial with those nice red accents. It also uses Seiko's caliber 7S26 automatic movement. All of this is a really great value at around $100. The third watch is a Citizen Echo Drive. This is neither an automatic nor a quartz. This is powered by the sun, and this is a really nice pilot's watch for around $109. The fourth watch is the Grand Seiko. This is a watch I've covered extensively in my previous videos, and for good reason. The Grand Seiko is the pinnacle for Seiko as an everyday wear watch. I had to qualify the pinnacle as an everyday wear watch, because the fifth watch in Japan that is actually considered the pinnacle for Seiko is the Creedor watch. There's not a lot of people that are aware of the Creedor watch. It doesn't use the Seiko branding at all. It just simply says Creedor. But this is Seiko's most expensive lineup of watches, mainly because they use precious metals and are meaning gold or platinum, and are in limited editions. For example, look at this tourbillon. This is a gorgeous watch through and through, but it's also $500,000. So while the Grand Seiko is considered the pinnacle, I consider it the pinnacle everyday wear. Technically, the Creedor would be the pinnacle for Seiko. The second country is Germany. Let's start with Lange's one-day Matic watch. This is a $50,000 watch and is stunning through and through. This watch is often compared to a Patek in terms of prestige. The second watch is Glashütte. I really like this brand, especially the Senators, whether it's the large date or the Senator Square chronograph. I think this is a really nice watch. It's also, everything about this watch is in-house, and it's a lot more affordable than a Lange because Lange uses mainly precious metals and a lot more complicated movements. The third watch is Junghans. Junghans' flagship watch is the Max Bill, and it comes in 35, 38, and 40 millimeters. Back in the day, they used to use an in-house movement. They don't really use that in-house movement as much anymore, and this watch is fairly affordable at around $1,000. The fourth watch, the fourth German watch, is the Mont Blanc. Yes, this watch is kind of everywhere, meaning it's sold in department stores. There are a lot of different budgets to this lineup. But the one lineup that I really like with Mont Blanc is the Nicolas Riasek. I think this watch is absolutely stunning. It's also their in-house movement. There's a lot of complications going on in this watch. This watch is around $7,000 or $8,000. This is a really nice watch. I kind of liken the Nicolas Riasek to Seiko's Grand Seiko because the owner of a Grand Seiko and a Nicolas Riasek might have faced similar challenges when talking to people because they're like, oh, it's just a Mont Blanc or it's just a Seiko. Because of the other more expensive budget-friendly watches within our lineup. So I covered once before in another video, you have to be really confident to spend the kind of money that you would on a Grand Seiko, knowing that you might have to put up with that, oh, it's just a Seiko. knowing that it's not. And that's a lot similar to I think what the owner of a Nicholas Riesek would have to do with their other Montblanc watches. Now, Montblanc is a German company. They are known as making some of the finest German writing instruments. Right here. Here's their logo. It looks like an ink blot. It's a little bit baffling to me why they wanted to have a Swiss label on their watches. Now, my guess is because there are so many watches that some are under $1,000 and they're sold in department stores. And it might be for that customer base who thinks that having a Swiss label on their watch is very important to them. But to me, it's not really being true to their roots. Someone who spends the kind of money on its Nicholas Riesek, like for example for myself, I would rather have it be true to their roots than say made in Germany. But it might be a little bit more off-putting to a more casual watch wearer. And the fifth German watch is Schaumburg. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this watch. I just started becoming aware of this. But the Schaumburg watch, look at this moon watch here. This moon watch actually won Watch of the Year by the Salon Exceptional Watches. And that's no small feat. I mean, it was up against some pretty stiff competition, such as Tag Heuer and Karl Bucherer, and it won. This moon watch is a really nice looking watch. It's 42 millimeters. And it's a lot more affordable than some of the other watches. It doesn't use an in-house movement. It uses a Solita movement. And I think this watch is around a couple $1,000s. But it's a really nice looking watch, especially this moon watch. I've never seen a moon watch on any other watch the way that I have seen it on the Schaumburg watch. This is absolutely stunning. And the third country is the UK. Let's start with England's Garrick watch. My favorite watch in the Garrick lineup is the Regulator. This is a $7,000 watch. It's not totally in-house movement. What they do make in-house is the free sprung balance and the gear train, and they use this with the modified Unitas movement. I'm not a real fan of spending this kind of money on a non-in-house made movement watch, but this is another exception. I think this is a really sharp looking watch. It's reminiscent of a Patek or even a Lange, except it's much more affordable, and there are still a large number of components that are actually made in-house. It's also not a stock watch, meaning this is a hand-built watch and it's made to order, so the waiting list is about 3 to 4 months. But what's not to like about this watch? This is a really gorgeous watch. The second English watch is Schofield. The Schofield's signature line is the Signalman. This is a $4,000 watch. It's also not an in-house movement, but they don't try to cover that up. They're upfront about it, and I think they use the Edit 2824 movement. This is a big watch, a really chunky watch. It's 44 millimeters, and I'm also not a fan of larger watches anymore. Again, this is another exception here. I really think this is a sharp looking watch. It's supposed to be reminiscent of a lighthouse. Everything about this watch is so simplistic in its looks that even with its size and its simplicity, there's just something that I'm really drawn to about this watch. I really like this watch. The Schofield brand is also not like any other lifestyle brand that I've seen. It's really a guy's watch brand. It's such an ultimate lifestyle. If you take a look at Schofield's website, I mean, they sell cigar carriers it's included with the Cuban Hoyo de Monterrey that comes with the case. They also make EDCs like knives, leather wallets that are handmade. They make an array of leather and wool material straps. The Schofield is a really nice lifestyle brand. They also make coffee. And they use one of England's famed coffee roasters. So they don't just put their name on it. They actually work with them to make a roast that's customized for somebody who's supposed to like watches according to their website. But there are a lot of interesting things to try out with Schofield. I really like their approach. The third English brand is Bremont. A lot of us are familiar with this brand. They also don't use in-house movement except for their Right Flyer. That's their only one that I'm aware of that uses an in-house movement. A fourth English watch is called Van Ref. This is a unique looking watch. It's also unique because it's new, and they actually use crowdfunding to help develop this watch. And the fifth watch is Elliott Brown. They use a Miyota movement. This watch is called a Tyneham, and it's 41 millimeters. This is also another really unique looking watch. Now, one of the things that I noticed that among the Japanese watches and the German watches, the English watches tend not to use or produce in-house movements. They do a lot of modifications to their movement versus Germany and Japan. So hopefully the English is on the rise to making some in-house movements. The English-made watches are a lot more distinct looking than their counterparts from Japan or Germany. The English watches have such a distinction to them in their case designs and dials. Watches from Japan and Germany can actually pass for a Swiss-made watch, but the English watches just have a certain a funkiness to them, a really cool, aggressive, maybe a little bit more youthful design to them. I really appreciate the English case designs and dials. I think they're really make some really nice looking watches. I just do hope that the English can someday start manufacturing some totally in-house movements. I think these countries offer us some unique watches. Let me know what non-Swiss made watches you think are exceptional, and thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time.
The same way, getting some bank, I'm shark in the tank, got myself the tank,